news tonight, Governor Adeleke says debt bequeathed to his administration will not hinder performance. Police assures adequate security in 2023 general election. On the foreign scene, Ghanaian president tells African leaders to improve living standard of their people. Good evening. Welcome to the major report. Babatunde Polatito is my name. Osho State Governor Senator Ademola Adeleke has assured people of the state that its administration will not be distracted from operationalizing its blueprint for the governance regardless of the huge amount of debts bequeathed to his administration by his immediate predecessor. Governor Adeleke gave this assurance when addressing the Osho State Council of Elders under the chairmanship of the Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojeja II, at the Ministry of Finance Conference Room. Governor's Office correspondent Abu Rahim Adekilegun now reports.
It's time for any governor to involve the traditional rulers in the state in the business of governance by opening the books of its financial standing to the royal fathers. No wonder the royal fathers were full of prayers and commendations for the 6th executive governor, Senator Ademola Adeleke, for starting his administration on a note of an all-inclusiveness. Governor Adeleke, while addressing the state's traditional rulers under the chairmanship of the Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojeja II, lauded the royal fathers for their support, saying that his administration will consult them from time to time. Senator Adeleke said the meeting was called to present the official debt profile of the state in line with the details submitted to him by the Office of the Accountant General for the state. According to him, there were 8 different loan facilities inherited from his predecessor, apart from the salary and pension debts, with repayment period ranging from 16 months to 28 years. The total amount of the budget, according to the governor, stands at 407.32 billion naira.
My administration inherited 8 outstanding loan facilities, apart from salaries and pension debt from Governor Oyetola. My good people of Osho State, the total loan stock as of today is 331.2 billion. If the 76 billion naira debt of salaries and pension are added, the state is indebted to the tune of 407.32 billion naira. The amount owed contractor is yet to be determined.
According to the governor, outstanding balance of budget support facilities stands at 51.8 billion naira with a monthly repayment of 154.9 million to be paid for 27 years and 9 months. Outstanding balance of salary bailout is put at 38.8 billion naira with a monthly repayment of 232.77 million to be paid for the next 13 years and 9 months. Unstructured commercial bank loans of 158.77 billion with a monthly repayment of 1.14 billion to be paid for the next 11 and a half years, as well as excess crude account with outstanding balance of 14.48 billion, monthly repayment of 89.97 million to be paid back in the next 13 years and 4 months. Others are Central Bank of Nigeria infrastructure loan of 9.2 billion naira with a monthly repayment of 44.98 million, an outstanding period of 17 years. Federal Government of Nigeria intervention loan with outstanding balance of 1.7 billion and monthly repayment of 100 million naira to be completed in the next 17 months. The government lamented that the 18.4 billion naira Federal Government of Nigeria bridge finance facility, which the last administration took after the July 16, 2022 Guba polls, was completely expended without any information on the repayment terms. In their separate remarks, the Honorable of Ila, Honorable of Okeila, Onu of Iro, Ali of Ilie, Onu of Iwo, Onu of Iwoki, Onokuku of Okuku, Onu of Kuta, among several others, commended the governor for his unprecedented transparency and principle of inclusion. They prayed for the governor to have a successful tenure of office and charged him to continue to extend olive branches to all stakeholders in the state. In his remarks, the chairman of the council, Ooni of Ife, Oba Adeyeye Ogunwusi Ojeja II assured the governor that the Obas in the state will give their massive support to the administration of Governor Ademola Adeleke for all-round development of the state. On the entourage of the governor were the deputy governor for the state, Prince Kola Adewusi, the secretary to the state government, Alhaji Teslim Igbalaye, as well as the chief of staff to the governor, Alhaji Kasim Akinleye. It has been Abdurrahim Adeklekun reporting.
It is clear that it has so far recorded over 30 billion naira out of 109 billion naira allegedly siphoned by the suspended Accountant General of the Federation, Idris Ahmed. The chairman of the commission, Abdurrashid Bawa, made the disclosure while appearing at the ministerial media briefing organized by the Presidential Communication Team at the Presidential Villa, Abuja. It will be recalled that Idris was nabbed by operatives of the EFCC a few months ago in connection with a series of frauds that was initially thought to be 84 billion naira. 3 days after his arrest, Idris was suspended by the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, to enable him face his probe. He also revealed that over 3,615 convictions were recorded within the period, affirming that the administration is serious about its anti-corruption program. President Muhammadu Buhari was among African leaders at the meeting where United States President Mr. Joe Biden called on African nations that are to hold election next year to press for a free vote. On the sideline of a summit that has brought both African leaders to Washington, Biden and his top aide met separately with a group of 6 leaders as part of his democracy push. The group included President Felix Tshisekedi of the Democratic Republic of Congo, who took office in 2019 in the vast country's first peaceful transfer of power. Also participating were Gabon's Ali Bongo Ondimba, who has been president since 2009 after succeeding his long-time ruling father, and the leader of Liberia, Madagascar, and Sierra Leone. Despite the destruction of offices belonging to the Independent National Electoral Commission and other security threats across the country, the Inspector General of Police, Usman Baba, has assured President Muhammadu Buhari that the police force will ensure free, fair, and credible elections in 2013. The IGP gave the assurance at a security meeting with commissioners of police and other top police officers at the force headquarters in Abuja. He urged police officers to be on top of their game in covering the persistent insecurity as the election approaches. Core members have been admonished not to compromise the electoral process, as they are key players in the bid to ensure credible elections in 2023. Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner Dr. Musin Abuki stated this at a sensitization program organized for core members at the NYSC Permanent Orientation Camp in the Osun State. Oluwatobiloba Odunuga has the details.
The sensitization and training program for core members, Osun State Resident Electoral Commissioner Dr. Mutiu Agboke advised core members to be neutral and be apolitical during election process. Dr. Agboke admonished them to abide by the rules and regulations of the Independent National Electoral Commission and be a good ambassador of the NYSC scheme. The REC, however, warned the core members against engaging in electoral malpractices during the 2023 general elections. He stated further that anyone found culpable in any electoral malpractice would be prosecuted accordingly.
INEC is not ready to allow any inadequacy that will be occasioned by any of our ad hoc staff, particularly the presiding officer. The position of presiding officer is a strategic one. He owns the polling unit. He organizes the activities there. So it is good for us to teach them what to do, to let them know what they should not do, and to also let them know the likely things that will happen on election day. We believe that this is just the beginning of the exposure or the engagement. By the time they are posted out, our various local governments will engage them. As I speak to you now, Route trainings are ongoing in various local government. We have guidelines, INEC guidelines. We also have a kit for training. We also have the Electoral Act. All the provisions therein, they must know them.
Dr. Agboke, which said politicians were bound to approach the core members during elections, warned them not to be compromised or let themselves be used for their selfish aims. The REC noted that bimodal accreditation system BVAS will be used by the Commission during the coming 2023 general elections, noting that the BVAS had made it impossible for human interference.
They must know who is eligible to vote. They must know who is not eligible to vote. They must know when you should not be allowed to vote. And they must also know what is the issue of transmission of result is all about.
Dr. Adigoke added that core members that would be engaged for the elections will be properly trained on the usage of beavers and other equipment. Oluwa Tobiloba, Odunuga, Osbc News.
President Muhammad Buhari has ordered the opening of the second night bridge for use by midnight. Buhari stated this while commissioning the bridge for use for 1 month during the Yuletide. He counseled road users plying the bridge to drive safely and responsibly in order not to defeat the purpose of constructing the project. Speaking through the Ministry of Works, Babatunde Fashola, the President said the purpose of the construction is to save life and alleviate poverty occasioned by waste of man-hours resulting from gridlock on the fourth bridge. He said it will be counterproductive if the users become reckless and attract unnecessary missiles for themselves. The registrar of the Joint Admission and Matriculation Board, Professor Isaac Oloide, has ruled out exploitation in the course of its revenue generation. Oloide said, contrary to the position of critics who argued that JAMB should not generate funds for the government, the charges are minimal compared with similar charges within and outside Nigeria. He said the board has remitted over 50 billion naira to the federal government in the last 6 years. Oloyede spoke while delivering a public lecture in Abeokuta, Ogun State. In the lecture titled The Imperative of JAMB in Tertiary Education in Nigeria, he identified examination malpractice, admission outside the central admission processing system, unsuitable CTC centers, erratic power supply and lack of uniform calendar by institutions are some of the challenges confronting the board. He said the 50 billion naira surplus was recorded under his watch due to measures put in place on cost control, prevention of financial leakages, and minimization of financial corruption. The Nigerian Communication Commission says a malware that steals Facebook account credentials, known as Schoolyard Bully, has infected over 300,000 Android devices. These have prompted the Nigerian Telecommunications Commission Computer Security Incident Response Team to issue an advisory reminding users not only to download applications from official sites and application stores. The advisory indicates that users double check each application on checkboxes that request extra third-party downloads and routinely scan their devices. According to the Commission, the primary objective of malware which affect all versions of Facebook app for Android is to steal account information including email address and password, account ID, username, device name, device random access memory, and device applications. Nigeria Extractive Industry Transparency Initiative has said that about 619.7 million barrels of crude oil valued at 46.16 billion naira or 16.25 trillion naira have been stolen in the last 12 years. NEITI disclosed this in a statement signed by its Health Communication and Advocacy Obiageli Onwara. The Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited and other stakeholders have described crude oil theft in the country as an organized crime perpetrated by the elite. The agency said it will support move by the federal government to investigate crude oil theft in the country, adding that the development has worsened the country's crude oil output and the stabilized budget and economic plans. According to the information and data provided by an average of 8 companies, the losses occurred from 2009 to 2020. In 2009, when NEITI commenced on revenue of crude oil theft, Nigeria lost 69.49 million barrels, valued at $4.31 billion. NEITI said it is regrettable that at a time Nigeria's economy is largely dependent on oil revenues, some Nigerians will choose to collude with foreign nationals to speak and sabotage the main source of revenue for Nigeria. Now welcome to our sports segment. Iraqi ambassador to Nigeria, Mr. Anwar Sahid, has congratulated the NFF president on his victory in the elections and assured him that the Iraqi Football Association will be delighted by his offer to explore ways of greater collaboration. On Motayo Adebodu of our sport days, are the details of this and more from the world of sports.
The Flying Eagles will discover their group stage 4 for the 2023 African Under-20 Nations Cup next week Friday. According to the Confederation of African Football CAF, the draw ceremony will take place in Cairo, Egypt on the 23rd of December. Egypt will host the biannual competition from February 18 to March 12. Aside from the Flying Eagles and the host nation, 10 other African countries will also compete for the honors at Egypt 2023. Senegal, Zambia, Mozambique, Uganda and South Sudan have also qualified. Others are Tunisia, Central Africa and Congo. The 4 semi-finalists at the competition will compete at the 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup in Indonesia. Meanwhile, the leadership of Nigerian Football Federation and that of the Iraqi Football Association will interface and cross-fertilize next month with a view of exploring avenue for greater cooperation and collaboration in the football sphere. Speaking in Abuja during a courtesy visit to the ambassador of Iraq to Nigeria, His Excellency Mr. Ansar Sahid, President of the NFF, Alhaji Ibrahim Musa Goso, expressed the keen desire of the NFF to collaborate with countries with pedigree in the game to ensure real growth for the Nigerian game from the grassroots. In the meantime, FIFA has rejected the request to increase maximum squad size to 26 at next summer's Women's World Cup, despite Serena Whitman being among those who called for the move. The England boss and her German counterpart Mariana Vos Tecklenburg disclosed the proposal with other international coaches at the Women's World Cup final draw in October, with a number joining them to back the idea. The ongoing Men's World Cup in Qatar has allowed 26-man squad as were permitted for both men and women European Championship finals in 2020 and 2021, while football recovered from the effect of the COVID-19 pandemic. FIFA has not explicitly given its reasons for the decision. The tournament is also due to be played across 31 days, an increase of more than 10% over the Qatar competition, and not all nations said to be involved in Australia and New Zealand were said to back the move. Montayo Adebodu, Osbc News.
Now to foreign stories. Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo has tasked African leaders on the responsibility of making the continent attractive to its people by providing quality education and skills that run the modern economy. Tafika Abdul Karim has details of this and more from the foreign desk. The report is presented from our studios.
Ghanaian President Nana Akufo-Addo, who was speaking in Washington during the opening of the U.S.-Africa Leaders Summit in USA, stated that it is high time African leaders stopped begging the developed world and concentrate on spending African money on the continent. He said that when Africa does the right thing, they will not need to ask for respect from anyone. He warned that anybody in the position of leader in Africa must see an urgent responsibility of making Africa attractive to its people by providing quality education and skills that run the modern economy. In his opening remarks, the 71st United States Secretary of State, Anthony John Blinken, said that the importance of the diaspora to the past, present, and the future of both African nations and the United States is why this one of the very first events of African Leaders Summit. He added that the government of the United States is committed to ensuring that young people can continue to bring their talents and hard work to the benefit of people across the continent and to the benefit of the people in the country. In the meantime, nurses in the United Kingdom have staged an unprecedented one-day strike as a last resort in their fight for better wages and working conditions. Up to 100,000 members of the Royal College of Nursing in England, Wales, and Northern Ireland are stopping work from rejecting a government pay offer. The RCM's industrial action is part of a growing wave of stoppages by public and private sector employees. The strike is the first in the RCM's union's 160-year history. The UK is currently grappling with a cost of living crisis as spiraling inflation outstrips wage growth. Union leaders and health workers also said nurses were being overworked due to staff shortages as the state-run National Health Service battled a backlog in appointments made worse by cancellations during the coronavirus pandemic. India authorities said at least 31 people have died and several others hospitalized in Bihar state after drinking toxic alcohol. The deaths happened mainly in two villages in the impoverished eastern state, where the sale and consumption of liquor were banned in 2016 after women's groups campaigned against poor workers splogging their meager incomes on drinking. Such bans are enforced in several Indian states, driving a thriving black market for cheap alcohol made in unregulated backstreet distilleries that kills hundreds of people every year. In the latest incident, men in Sharan district, north of state capital Patna, began vomiting before their condition deteriorated. Several people died on the way to hospital and others died while being treated, putting the toll at 31, but there is a fear the death toll could further rise.
That ends the major report on Osbc TV. It was edited by Kayode Adebayo. Babatunde Bolatito is my name. Thank you for watching. Good night.